Guys, this is a word that the Lord gave to me. And basically, it's time to pull up. Time to pull up. You know, when a pilot is flying a plane and he taxis and he starts to take up that momentum. You know how sometimes when you're in the airplane and you're wondering, why is it taking so long? When are we going to take off? And my brothers and sisters, you've been taxiing on the ground, waiting for everybody to catch up. You're waiting on people to accept the Lord. You might be waiting on the person you love. You're taxiing and you're waiting on your boyfriend to come around, your girlfriend to come around. You're taxiing and you're waiting for maybe your mom and dad to come around, your brothers and sisters to come around. You're waiting on your relatives. You're taxiing and you're taxiing because you want them to get on board. You're telling them about the Lord. You're telling them about Jesus. You're living the life. You're leading by example. And maybe some of you, you've made your mistakes, but you got right back up and got back with the Lord. And you're taxiing and you're taxiing. But God says it's time for takeoff. It's time for you to pull up. It's time for you to go up higher. You can't stay on the ground anymore. There's danger down here. You're not going to grow down here. You got to go up above the clouds. And it's hard and it's difficult because you think about who you're going to be leaving behind. But God says it's time to come up. I've allowed you to taxi long enough. You're not meant to be on the ground taxiing, guys. When you see an airplane, that plane is not built to taxi. Those tires on an airplane is not meant to go long distances. And I don't know much about the mechanics, but I imagine that because they're not built for long distance on the ground, that there will probably be some damage that's done if they're on the ground too long and going a long distance like a car. I imagine in taxiing so much on the ground that maybe it would affect the way it lands and even its takeoff, because it's not meant to just be on the ground. And it's the same thing with you all. You're wearing yourself thin, taxiing around, waiting for your loved ones. Waiting on your loved ones. Waiting on your friends. Waiting for people to tell you it's okay to go. But I hear the Lord saying, it's time for takeoff. It's time to go up higher. It's time to pull up. You got to get up higher. God is taking you to that next level. He's moving his people to the next level. It's time to go up higher, guys. It's time to get up on that higher level. Higher levels in the Lord. There's certain things that you're not going to be able to get from the Lord as long as you're on the ground. The food on the lower levels, the food on the ground, the food in this particular level in your life, it's no longer suffice. It's no longer going to sustain you. It's no longer going to hold you. But because of everybody else, you're afraid to leave them behind. And so you're staying behind and you're eating food and you're eating things, oh, my brothers and sisters, that's just not going to sustain you because you've grown. This is a perfect example. It's like you trying to keep drinking formula. But no, it's time for you to have meat. It's time for you to have something that's going to hold you because you're growing. And so because you're growing and we are adults, let's give ourselves as an example. You're not that baby food, that little jar of applesauce, that little bit of milk in a 8-ounce bottle or whatever it may be. That's not going to hold you. That's not going to sustain your adult bodies. And so it's the same thing spiritually. You're growing. You're growing, but because of those around you, you're still sitting there and you're trying to sustain yourself on milk. You're trying to sustain yourself on small portions, on light portions that's made for infants. And God is saying it's time for you to come up, because what will happen to us as adults, let's use the natural here. If you're trying to drink milk right now, Similac, formula, baby food, you are not going to have the strength that you need. It's going to break down. You're going to break down. You're going to be weak. You're not going to be getting the nutrients that you need. And that's what's going on right now in the spiritual realm. You're not coming up higher because you're taxiing and you're waiting for people to come on board, and you're waiting for people to come around. And some of you, you're waiting for people to release you. But in the meantime, while they are refusing to come, while they're refusing to follow after God, you are being depleted. You're losing your strength because you don't belong on this level anymore. God is saying it's time to pull up. You've taxied long enough. It's time to come up higher. It's time to come up higher. It is time for takeoff. It is time for elevation, because the times are changing. The times are changing. And if you're not moving when the Lord tells you to move, you're going to be destroyed with those who wants to stay on the ground. Those who don't want to follow after God, those who want to follow after their own desires and their own hearts, those who wants to follow after the ways of the world, those who just not ready yet. And you're going to stay in that house, the house that's about to catch on fire. You want to save everybody, or that house that may already be on fire. You keep going in there because you think you have enough for everybody. But just as a firefighter, that tank on his back of oxygen, it has a certain amount, a certain capacity. It is not for that firefighter to be in that burning building for an extended period of time, because he himself will be destroyed. So he goes in to rescue, but that person must be willing to go. And if he met a belligerent person in there, and they're fighting him and attacking him, and nothing he's doing can help, is convincing them, if he is in danger, he has to go. And God is saying, you're using your supply, you're using your oil, you are using your oil to bring people, to convince people, and you're going to end up perishing. You're going to end up missing the move of God, because you're taxiing on the ground. It is time for takeoff. I hear the Lord saying, it's time for takeoff. It's time to come up higher in Him. It's time to come up higher in Him. And honestly, during these days, guys, it's going to be the place that you are going to be given sustenance and strength, replenish, and you're going to be hidden in these places. God is calling you to His secret place. He's calling you in the cleft of the rock. He's calling you so that He can protect you and keep you from things that's coming. He's strengthening you. There's a time and a place that you have to go and be in the cleft of the rock and be in the safety of our Father, so that you'll be strengthened and able to stand when difficult times will come. But right now, you're taxiing. You're circling and you're circling. But I hear the Lord saying it's time for takeoff. It's time to pull up and come up higher. This is the word of the Lord today.